This is Bliss Oasis. Change your thinking, change your life.
Dear thieves of Nairobi, those that ride evil bikes to snatch our phones that we bought with our hard-earned money, I've greeted you. Yesterday you made away with my precious phone while I shouted Mwizi on top of my voice, your partners passed by and slapped me one of Bishop. The one of Bishop is a slap on your face. Thieves of the city. I know police will not help me, but my ancestors will do. Dear thieves of the city, let me remind you that I, Wanjiru of the Slopes, come from the Anjiro clan of the Agikuyu. Anjiro are famous for their witchcraft prowess. We of this clan can look at a banana badly and it falls from its muramba or stem. Our anger is so hot, it can boil yams and it triggers that witchcraft power. As we are speaking, I have worn my divining attire, applied white ashes on my third eye spot, chin, and both sides of the cheeks. I can monitor you from here. I have sniffed tobacco like the Wanjiru I am, and I am about to cast a spell on your silly lives. I'm moving a red feather around two dolls that I have made to represent you. I am not alone. I am in the company of my ruthless ancestors who are guiding me. They say we shall curse your body. Anytime you want to eat, your mouth shall seal as if joined by super glue. Your urinating apparatus shall be disappearing every time you have an urge to pee. And anytime you see a girl and you want to eat her, the same apparatus shall change to that one of a woman. My ancestors are not happy at all. They say anytime you want to snatch a phone, your hands will become shorter. Yours truly, Wanjiru of the Slope.
So viewers, welcome again to Bliss Oasis Africa, where we always take our time to go out there to bring you untold stories of everyday people. Once in a while, you have heard guys laughing, maybe on social media, and they say, Kenya Sihami, I will not move from Kenya. Why? Because Kenya is full of humor. And even despite the challenges we go through, we talk about poverty, we talk about bad politics and so on, people always have a time to laugh. And it goes back, particularly in the media, it goes back to the times of Masharubu. He used to be a columnist in the Sunday Nation. Many people used to buy Masharubu at the Sunday Nation because of Masharubu. Then came whispers, Wahome Mutahi. And people would buy the newspaper and remove that part of that page where Wahome Mutahi and his whisper column were, just to enjoy it later on or even file it. What happened to humor? Humor is still there, but do we see it in print? Maybe politics have become so serious and so big business that we no longer see serious humor pieces in the newspapers. But you go to social media, that's where you find humor. And Bliss Oasis Africa has recently introduced, or rather discovered, one of those humor writers in the name of Wanjiru Muthee. Wanjiru Muthee is smiling because so much fun, so much humor is behind her head. And those over 1,000 followers of her on Facebook will agree with me that reading his articles are quite interesting. And she's going to give us a sample of her writing. But before she does that, Wanjiru, karibu to Bliss Oasis Africa.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, karibu sana. And I was introduced to your column, or rather your page on Facebook by a friend of mine. And since I started reading it, you have a style of your own. You call yourself, by the way, you call yourself village girl, but you live in the middle of the city. Have you ever always been a village girl until you came to the city? Maybe you can tell us that before you tell us more about yourself and before you read us a piece of your work.
Okay. My name is Wanjiru Muthee, like Patrick has already said. Yes, I do come from the village. I come from Nyeri County, Kieni constituency, Kabaru village.
Wow.
That is where I grew up.
Mm.
As most of my life I have lived in the village, and that is why I base my stories on the village life. But I have visited the city, Nairobi.
Nairobi, and you read us one of the articles about the experiences in Nairobi. But one other question before we go back to your background. Are these
Yes.
stories based on true incidents, or are they just imaginations?
Okay, the stories are mainly a creation, but they're based on actual happenings that have taken place.
Mhm.
But now, of course, you add a little bit of humor, you put on a little bit of exaggeration, but these are actual activities, actual happenings that have taken place on the ground.
Sure. Yeah, and you have this style where you kind of is this Englishicize the Kikuyu language, or you Englishicize the Kikuyu, or you Anglicize, or rather the other way around.
It's an aspect of direct translation.
Yes. Yes.
So that the direct translation in itself is humor.
Yes.
Because you're reading it from a mother tongue concept, but then now you're using the English language.
Yes.
So by that alone, it's
Yes.
already humor, because you're killing the language there.
It's quite interesting. And where did you get that idea from?
I think this is a concept that is very old in the literature field.
Yeah.
And one of the most common ones. But now how you do it, it's where there's a lot of direct translations that happens, but now people do it differently.
Okay, and
yes.
you have a sample which you can read us. Is it nearby? You read it for us, and then we go further into it. Maybe learn about those.
Yes, sure.
Yeah, you can read that first one.
Okay, so this one is about one of the happenings that happened recently. So it goes like this. So I was about to conclude that the people of my village have learned the good ways of the Lord, and that they have stopped fights. Of course, this was going to be a threat to my newly found career of gossip collection. But the gods of the mountain have purely been faithful to me. Mother of Wanjiru has sent me to go buy kangumu so that he can secretly take tea of Sakumi in the absence of men of these families who never remember to treat us with such goodies. Upon reaching Buloti, I find small commotions. Since I have a strong affinity to chaos, I move close to find Shikokia Ba, who has been in remand for putting inner garments in illegal brew, has been released. She's fighting with Moi Madiabs. Apparently, Moi Madiabs stole Shiko's village sponsor, who happens to be a husband to none of the two. Shiko said, which translates to, you woman find your own husband, leave mine alone. Then Moyo retorted, Kira ukanyoyo, atakire waku. The word I don't want to read here. So shut your big mouth. This is not your husband. You always have kept, you have always been kept by husbands of other people by putting rice in their alcohol. So Shiko replies, no kogiretia weketani, who has stopped you to do like me? What is it that I have that you do not have? They then continued to fight, pulling each other's wigs off, pinching, raising skirts to expose acres of thighs, insults of bad words in between fights. Then I asked them in the middle of their wrestling, sponsor no, which is to mean, who is the sponsor? Moyo of Madiabs, who is determined to spoil for Shiko, shouts, Iveti pastoria mugani, which is to mean, it's the new pastor. This one eats even the men of God. Me, when I had pasta, the same pasta I have had a grudge with, I screamed a good one in happiness, but spectators are confused. Now everyone thinks that me, I am in the mix with Shiko Kiaba and Moi Madiabs. Kumeshikana. Konyitanu.
Kumeshikana.
Yes, that one is just a sample.
And you said it happened the other day.
Yeah, it happened the other day.
You actually witnessed it, or you heard?
Well, there were two women who were fighting about a man who is not theirs.
Mm.
Of course, these are not their names. These are names that I've created, just to spice up the whole thing. So
Yes.
it is ridiculous that two women are fighting over a man who is not a married man to another person who is totally different, and happens that this man is a pastor.
Wow.
And so, it is a continuation of other stories, because this same pastor we had a fight with, because the pastor comes out as judgmental. How are you dressing? How is your hair? You're probably like that because you smoke baggy, So it comes from a part where pastor and I have been fighting, or have been, trying to throw jabs at each other. And then I find, wow, pastor who is judging me for having maybe unkempt hair is having an affair.
So that's what the rest of the articles talks about your...
Yes. The happenings of a village, things like that.
Okay,
yes.
That's quite interesting. Yeah. And those who liked what Wanjiru has just read, maybe they'll look for you on Facebook and follow you and read more.
They should. My name is Wanjiru Muthee on Facebook.
Yeah, Wanjiru Muthee. Now, briefly, you said you call yourself village girl. That's what you describe yourself. Because you grew up in the village, and when did you come to the city?
I came to the city in 2013, 2014.
After high school?
Yes. After campus.
After campus. Which campus were you, and what did you study?
I went to Moi University, but currently it is a branch now. It's called University of Eldoret. But back then it was Moi University.
Okay.
Yes.
And what did you study over there?
It's interesting because I studied science.
Wow.
I'm a food scientist.
What science?
My career is very interesting because I studied food science. I practiced for 1 year or around 9 months. And then I felt like, this is not my area. So I moved now to human resource management. So I'm a HR.
You're an HR person.
And then now
so you move from science to what we can call arts.
Right.
And you didn't have to go to college for that. Did you study it, HR?
Yes, I did. I studied at College of Human Resource in Nairobi for a higher diploma in higher national diploma in human resource management. Okay.
So what science were you doing, and why didn't you like it? Is it because there's no humor or fun in science?
No, funny enough, science is very interesting. I was always good in science. Very good, right from high school.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I did not. It didn't blend with me when I came to the field.
But what branch of science were you doing? Were you studying on?
I did food science. I did a course called Food Operations Management. If I may expound a little bit about that, it's everything about food. So it has food science, food security, food nutrition, food production, everything about food is in that course.
And you actually graduated?
Yes, I did.
Which means you can still pursue the career later on, or you can combine somehow.
Yeah, I can combine. Yes, food is love.
Food is everything.
Yes,
Hata wakati
food is everything.
hata wakati wa COVID tulikuwa tunakula.
Chakula. Exactly. Food is very interesting. Yeah, you cannot live without food, so you have to, you know, I can always come back.
It's true, it's true. So viewers, that was just a short introduction of Wanjiru Muthee, and we are taking a short break so that we can come back and hear more about her story, where she grew up, the village, Alienda Primary School, Ghana. And I know many of our friends and schoolmates will be watching this. So just a brief break until we come back shortly. Thank you and welcome to Bliss Oasis Africa, and thank you for watching our podcasts. My name is Patrick Ngugi. I'm a founder and director of Bliss Oasis Africa. Bliss Oasis Africa is an organization that gives counseling, mentorship, training, among other things. As you may have known by now, I am an author and a former journalist with one of the leading newspapers in the country. And a month ago, that is in May 2022, I launched what I call Sindiku. Sindiku is actually an abbreviation of Sisi Ndio Kusoma. And Sindiku, actually what we do is we are trying to get books to schools, fiction material to many libraries that may be having a deficiency of books, not necessarily deficient, but you as a partner can come and partner with Sindiku to give books to a school of your choice. And since I am a founder of this Sindiku, this is Sisi Ndio Kusoma, and Sisi Ndio Kusoma come from the popular adage where young people like to brag, or proud people want to brag, Sisi Ndio Kusema, mimi ndio kusema. So we're taking that one and turned it to Sisi Ndio Kusoma. We are the readers. And the reason we are doing this actually is to promote reading culture. And I started with my own books, but gradually as we go along, we'll involve other authors and other publishing firms. What we do is we go out there to schools, community libraries, and share our books, share as in we donate our books. And this donation is involve the others and maybe former students or people in the community who may want to nominate a particular community library or school or institution. And this recording is to announce that. And we already have our website where you can go and read more about Sindiku, Sisi Ndio Kusoma. And it's sindiku.org, SINDI.org. And for a start, I want to share some of the books that we are giving at the moment, where if you decide to donate, you can go to the site, sindiku.org, and select the mode of donation, how many books you want to give, and where and what part you need to play. So currently we are starting with these books. So there are 4 Kiswahili books, and they include the Kachuma series. The Kachuma series is what I wrote some time ago, and they have been quite popular. Kachuma and Binadamu Wanyama, Kachuma na Polisi. Sorry about the background. The background is playing out. So there's Kachuma and Binadamu, or rather Kachuma na Polisi. That was the first one. Then we have Kachuma na Binadamu Wanyama. And then we have this one, Kachuma and Kazibo. They all talk about different aspects of adventure, where this young boy somehow gets things done in a mysterious way. So it's for higher primary and even lower secondary. Then we have this one, Damunzito. Damunzito, it was my first Kiswahili book, actually translated from not retranslated, but taken from Taifa Jumapili, where I used to work, and it was turned into a novel. Then we come to English titles. We have The Last Will. We have Finders Keepers. And my latest, which is Mirror of Blood. Sorry, the virtual background is coming to the way, but then at least you have seen that. When you go to the website, you will see these books and the model and the mode of payment, or how you can contribute in all of these books to reach out there. So thank you very much and enjoy listening to our podcast. Asante sana. Patrick Ngugi saying bye. Welcome again to Bliss Oasis on our second part of the interview with hilarious Wanjiru, sorry. Wanjiru Muthee. And in the first part, you had the introduction about how she writes humor pieces in Facebook, and she calls herself Village Girl. And you've just had a hilarious piece of a recent happening where two women were fighting in the street. And I'm just curious, as we go to the second part of the interview, I'm just curious about these two ladies. There's Shiko Abba and is it Moi Madiabs? Who are, I mean, are they real people? Okay, they were fighting, but these names, are they real characters of, tell us about Shiko Abba, Kwanza.
Happens that Shiko works in a bar and she's big, so people like calling her Shiko Kiaba because she's big.
Shiko Kiaba.
Yeah, because again, there are so many Shikos in the village, so we want to differentiate which one are we talking about. So it's Shiko Kiaba.
This is a big one. Big. Because for those who may not understand the Kikuyu language, if she was small, she would have been Kaba.
Yes, Kaba. She's small. Shiko Kaba. But now she's big.
Shiko Kaba. So she's a barmaid of sorts, maybe?
Yes, she is a barmaid. And she's fighting with Moi Madiabs. Do I have to explain what Madiabs is?
Something also which is big. Big behind?
Okay. Why the behind is big is Moi Madiabs.
Yes.
Yes, so they're fighting over a guy.
Yeah, and so Shiko had just come from jail.
Yes.
Because of putting rice in. No, because of the, okay. Yeah, we had it. But there's rice involved there.
So Shiko had previously, there was another episode where Shiko was jailed because she was found putting inner garments in the illegal brew. So those are like dangerous crimes. You cannot be putting things in.
Right.
So now she was taken to police. Now she's back and she finds Moyo has stolen her sponsor. Now they're fighting.
Who happened to be the pastor and also husband to somebody.
Yes.
Yeah, people should read these pieces and get, get the humor. But so far, when did you start this series of articles on Facebook? And how many have you written?
I haven't kept the number of articles that I've written, but I've written quite a number. I started writing on Facebook back in 2014. Back then we did not have so many people writing. So I started with small episodes, but I wasn't writing about the village. I was writing just about anything. I did not have a specific field. And then around 2015, 2016, I ran with that was a time when the word Fisilet was very common.
Fisilet.
Okay. Yes. So I took a character of a Fisilet, and at that time also there was the aspect of sponsors coming in. There was the time the sponsor name was getting very common in Nairobi. So young girls were trying so much to impress, the sponsors and things like that. And they were doing ridiculous things like, bleaching your skin. There were so many things they were just doing to impress the sponsors. So I took the character, a Fisilet, like a female, a young woman who is trying to bag a Fisilet, but she terribly failed. So that one also was very famous back then in around 2016. And then there is a monster called imposter syndrome that gets into someone, and you start comparing yourself. Imposter syndrome.
Imposter, yes.
So you start comparing yourself with the prominent writers, you start feeling insecure. So I had a blog in 2016. I was writing this article. So one time I did a blog, and it became very famous. It was read widely, including UK, US.
Wow.
I was doing with WordPress. Yes. So unfortunately, it was read so much to an extent WordPress paid me.
Wow, that's nice.
Yes, they did. But what followed was the imposter syndrome. I felt like I cannot keep up with this creativity. How can I keep on impressing more than 2,000 people reading my articles?
Yes.
I looked at people like, can I mention names here? Yeah, I was at that time, Biko was doing very nice. There was people like Magunga Williams. I was looking at what they were writing and what I was writing, and I can't do this. So imposter syndrome came in, and I ran. I closed the blog. I said, I'm not good enough. I cannot create. And I just disappeared. Around 2018, I closed those social media sites. I said, no, I'm done. I can't sustain these people. They're expecting me to be very creative. And that is how I stopped for a moment, and then I came back in 2020.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, WordPress, do they always pay when somebody's so good, or what happened? And did they just pay you?
At that time they were paying. If you got a certain level of viewership, it was working akin to the way YouTube works, something like that. Yes. So you get a certain level of viewership, they can place an ad on your blog.
Yeah.
Yes, you get payment.
And you also
but I was so naive, I didn't even know how everything was working. And I think I wasn't ready. All
right.
Yes.
So what made you come back in 2020?
At that time, like I've said, I wasn't ready. So one time I'm in town, and there's a guy who sees me and he calls me by my name. A stranger. And I looked at this guy, is like, I have never seen you. I cannot place you in school. I cannot place you anywhere. So I asked you, how do you know me? And he's like, you write the blog? So I was so scared. I said, no, I cannot handle this. So I ran. And then at that time, I had a boyfriend. And he was like, see this image you're trying to create of a Fisilet. How is it going to be when we have children and they'll think their mother was trying to sponsor us? So all that fear got me in a very low place, and I decided, well, I cannot do this. So I ran, and I came back in 2020, and I started doing it. So why I came back is because I felt it wasn't, as much as I tried to run away from writing these creative stories, it kept coming back. I would be going to work, and I'm writing an article on my phone. I'll be just observing something through the window. Whatever is happening, I'm thinking that should be a very good story. So I said, I'm not running away from it anymore.
Creativity, you can never run away from yourself.
Yes. Then there's also a friend of mine who told me, just come. We miss your stories. We miss what you do. Just come. You never know what would happen.
Right. So have you considered going to WordPress, for example, or you're just doing on Facebook?
Currently, I'm just doing on Facebook. Then I'll see what happens. I want to bring back my people.
Oh, yeah, you already have 1,000. I was checking your Facebook account. You have more than 1,000.
1,500 followers. Yes.
How many? 1,300.
No, 1,500 plus the normal. Actually, we are at 6K friends. We are at 6K people now.
60?
6K, 6,000 people.
Okay, that's a big number. That's a big number.
Yes.
And I know many more would be following you. I don't know whether you have tried sending your pieces to the media, print media, for example, National Standard.
No, I haven't, because, well,
Poster syndrome.
like I said, yes. So I'm stepping out of. I'm actually working hard to believe on myself, because people believe in me more than I believe in myself. So.
Yes, you should. If one president you don't pay you for nothing, and I'm sure you can do. Not you can. You're already doing it.
Yes.
But how did you start writing? How did you discover this? Was it in high school, or how did it happen?
Yes, the earliest article I wrote, I was 9 years.
9.
Yes.
And what was it?
It had. So you see, I schooled, like I said, I am from the village.
Yeah.
And I schooled in a school, Datu Primary School. So back then, there was a time teachers went on a strike.
Mm.
And I took that opportunity to pierce my ears. So,
Mm.
but by the time we were going back to school, they had not healed.
Wow.
So I was the deputy principal at that time said it was a mistake, I had broken the school rules. So I was supposed to bring my parents, So, but my parents didn't come to school. So what happened? The teacher wanted to punish me for the mistakes of my parents.
Mm.
And I said no. So I ran away from school. And all the kids were so excited to see me running away from school, or me saying, no, you cannot cane me. The person you need to cane is my father, because he didn't come.
He allowed you to do it.
So I ran away. So that whole incident was so interesting. And that was the first time I wrote it in a family diary. And it had so much broken English that my mother and my brother.
But you see, write broken English even now.
But at that time it wasn't. At that time I had done my best.
Yes. You are in class 3. Or which class were you?
4. I was in 4.
And you wrote that piece.
It was quite long. It was quite long.
For you at that age. But did anybody else see that piece? For whom were you writing?
No, it was for me, for recording purposes. Yes, this is what happened. I did this. And then my mother found it, and my brother, they laughed at me badly.
You were already writing a diary at age 9.
At 9. Yes.
Is this something they were making you write in school?
Sorry?
Is this something they were making you write at school, or was it just from your own?
It was for my own. The school, we were just doing compositions. I was excited to join class 4 and have the compositions now. But it wasn't something that we were being made to do. So I was just writing for my own sake. It became better in around class 8. I moved from that school and I went to another school called the Mountain Star Academy. And I found a very Mountain Star. I found a very team of dedicated teachers who really worked on our bad English at that time.
I remember you were telling me the other school, the earlier school from where you came, teacher had decided.
Yes. They decided not to teach.
So what happened in this other school that you went? What were they actually doing to you that made you really improve on that passion and talent that you had, that's inborn?
The other school was, the teachers were committed and dedicated. There was a lot of focus on you. The child has to perform. So there's a lot of hard work. That I would say. So once the teachers identify that you are strong in a certain area, then they would really push you to do that.
All
So
right.
my English teacher in class 8 really pushed me, and she had this way of writing very interesting stories, compositions, and all that. So she pushed me. She told me, "You can do it," and that's where I started this whole creativity thing.
And were you believing her, or were you thought it's the mwalimu tu anakusumbua? I mean, was it in you?
Yeah.
You really knew that actually I'm good, or rather, were you doing it for the teacher or for yourself?
Funny enough, I enjoyed it.
Uh-huh.
I loved writing it. I loved writing those stories. I liked to read and make sure that I get a 28 and above, so 40. Anything less than that, it was always, I didn't do good, you know? So I always wanted to make sure that it wasn't, I did not take it negatively when the teacher pushed me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what happened in high school then? That was primary. In high school, how do you develop it?
In high school, mostly by this time the prowess in the language is okay. Not that much okay, but it's better than it was before. And I used to write small stories at the back of my notebook. When maybe you're going through these high school experiences, the environment is totally new. There's no parents around. It's just other teenagers trying to do life. And maybe the pressure is too much. So I just write small stories at the back of my books. And that's it. It continued like that for a very long time.
All right. And so you're out of did anything significant as far as writing is concerned in high school? Like, did you enter a kind of writing competition or something like that?
No. No, because our school was focused on pass, just pass, you know? Just make sure you pass. So there wasn't a lot of activities, co-curricular activities happening. No, there wasn't.
All right.
So if you had a talent, you had to find your own ways to grow it. If you had something that you felt was maybe different from the grades, you had to find your own ways of doing it.
All right. So here you are done your Form 4, you go to Moi University, you do science.
I do science, you know.
Was it 3 or 4 years?
Yes. Sorry?
Your degree, was it 3, 4 years?
Yeah, 4 years. 4 years. I did it for 4 years.
Were you doing any writing? Did writing follow you?
A lot. Now that's where the storytelling really started. I had a whole book dedicated to stories. A whole A6 book. Is it A6? The black cover.
Yes.
Yes. And I remember some of my roommates stealing my books to read my stories.
Wow. I see.
Yes. So, but then you see, at that point, you're thinking career. You need to shape your career. You're not thinking that this writing will ever amount to anything. You're thinking it's something that we used to do for compositions. You're not thinking that actually at that time around in the 2000s, sciences were very popular than art.
Yes.
You know, your parent would have wanted you to be a scientist more than a person who writes stories. So I never thought about it as something that I would pursue, but I always wrote stories.
Okay. Now, those stories, those big volumes you're writing on, whom are you writing for? Because your friend used to come and steal, which obviously you were hiding them. So why were you writing them? And for whom? Maybe later, I don't know, did you ever think maybe you might publish them?
I think, like I said, you cannot run away from your calling or from whatever. You can never run away from it. So I did not have anyone in mind that I was writing for, but I just felt the need to do it.
Okay.
I don't know why I was writing. I don't know who I was writing for.
You're just following your bliss.
I was just following, there's a story that needs to be written somewhere.
Yes.
So put it down. Yes, there's something that is in your mind that you want to put it down.
Okay. Fine. So you finished your college as a
Yes,
food technologist or whatever you call them.
yes.
Did you work somewhere? Were you employed somewhere before then you changed your mind?
Yes, I was employed. I'm sorry, I'm trying to run away from the sun.
No problem. No problem.
Yes, I was employed. I was employed as a, I don't know. Yeah, I think that's better.
Okay,
I was employed as a, what do we call it? Quality control assurance, something like that. In some companies in Embakasi that deal with what do you call it? Horticultural products.
Okay.
Yeah, I worked there for around 9 months. Then I left. I left because I did not feel like I wanted to be in that space. It wasn't happening.
So you just walked out.
So I walked out. And I started.
You went outside. Okay, there, Jokuma. Okay.
I walked out. Give me. Yeah, and I went. I was jobless.
Okay, that's what I was coming to. So when you decided to leave, you are not going to a particular job or to do anything. You are just fed up with what you are doing.
Yes, I was tired.
What was calling you? You felt something you wanted to do was out there, and what was it?
It was writing.
All right.
So around that time, there is these online gigs that were coming up so much. There's the article writing. So I left. I kept feeling that I should write, but I did not know what I'm writing. So I started writing articles for different clients, different people located different parts of this world. There's also something called web content creation.
Yes.
So someone is trying to create a website. They want their information, their website with a lot of content about what they do. And that is what I have been doing for a very long time.
So, a very long time would be like how many years?
Since 2015 to 2018. 2018. Around 4 years.
Around 4 years. So
yes, then now I went back to school to do human resource. So I do human resource management, and I leave the writing. I go to corporate employment, and I work for 1 year, 2019 to 2020. And then what does COVID do? COVID comes in. COVID comes in and it says, hey, we need to go back to writing.
And you did.
And I did. So this time I came back as a human resource consultant writer.
Oh, that's what you do now.
So that's what I do now.
And so what exactly does it entail?
So if you have a company and you want your policies, your procedure for your company written, probably you're starting a small company. Mostly I deal with people who are starting small companies and medium companies. They do not have procedures and policies in place. That's where I come in as a HR consultant who can now write for your company.
All right.
Yes.
HR.
I have also contributed to the IHRM magazine as an article writer. So writing is following me everywhere.
Everywhere. Writing is everywhere. You can do your pieces. You can do fiction. You can write for organizations like now you're doing. And there's so much. But your creativity is always there about those guys you meet and write about your experiences.
Yes.
Yeah. So COVID came and stopped you from that employment? You went back to writing,
Yes,
and that's why you did a lot of your Facebook pieces.
correct.
Yeah. And then COVID has gradually been going. Then you started your consultancy, HR consultancy.
Right.
Yeah. And this feels like you work from home.
I do work from home.
Mm.
I am the people who have a well-established office in the house.
Yeah.
The people who are in t-shirts.
And the only good thing, the only presentable thing you put is upstairs. Huku kwingine hatujui.
The outside
Which
is
is
the
Zoom.
outside.
Because it is
God
Zoom.
forbid should the camera fall down.
So Zoom meeting haionyeshi huko kwingine unless you stand and walk before you close the
Yes,
camera.
that is very true. I am those people. So I work entirely from the house.
Mm.
That's how I create. That's how I just sit down and create. Most of the time I'm creating content. I'm writing something. 90% of the time I'm always writing something. If it's not a Facebook article, then there's maybe probably I'm working with another company on HR.
Yeah.
I'm working with someone else who wants a blog written. I'm always creating something.
Okay, that's great. In fact, I wanted to ask you, what time do you do the Facebook pieces? But you've already answered that.
I have to schedule time for that, because one thing about Facebook content, the funny posts, the humorous posts, apart from the humor, there's always something that is in there that I'm trying to communicate. You know, we are living in such a society where two women are fighting over a man that is not there. It is a fact. It is something that happens every now and then
in the society.
You know? Yes. So we are living. So when I put it out there and I see 100 people are happy, and then those people who, you know, when I put it out there and Patrick has found me, and now we're here, we're having this conversation.
Yes.
What else am I looking for? You know, when I put it out there, I'm still working on my, like I said earlier, the imposter syndrome. I'm working on believing on myself.
Yes.
You know, the funny thing is that most people tell me, you're funny. You're writing funny stories. Then I go back and read, and I'm asking myself, is it really funny?
I know, because even humor writing, or even when you are funny, sometimes maybe in our culture particularly, they tell you, "Tigawana, you know, ni utoto." They are laughing.
Exactly.
Utoto, yeah? It's like they like the utoto you are doing or you're working on.
Yes. So, and the most interesting bit is the people who never comment, they never like, they never react. But when you meet them outside, they're like, I see what you do. So, but you never comment, you never say anything. So I'm sure people are looking. So
there's so many
that's how you.
It's true. I know how it feels, because like you, one day I was walking in the streets of Nairobi and this guy also greeted me. And like you, I was trying to come. You know what he said as he crossing the road, and he didn't even stop to talk more. And you know, it hit me, because I always knew I'm a good writer. But he told me, you're a very good writer, and that felt something, you know. So
exactly, yes.
So syndrome, imposter syndrome in Aisha. So you've written so much. And the other day we were chatting, and I asked you, what's your plan? Are you planning to publish your articles or write a novel? Or where are you going to take all these pieces you're working on?
I'm working on a book. I didn't want to say this because
it's good, so that people wait for it.
Because the pressure is going to be so much. Like, when is the book coming out?
And that pushes you. It's good for accountability.
Yeah, that gives you more pressure. I wanted to work on it silently and then boom, surprise people. But ideally, the plan is to create. It is to create a book so that even when I'm not around, we in Kikuyu we say "Otemodo turaga higoshiga,"
Don't live forever.
which is to say nobody lives like a stone forever.
Yeah.
So even when I'm gone, there will be someone who will take a piece of book or piece of paper and say, "This was written by Wanjiru."
Yeah,
So that's the plan.
You leave a mark, you leave a legacy.
Yes, that's the plan. So I'm working on something.
Yeah, I'm sure you're going to share with us eventually when it comes out.
Yes.
And I'm sure as we go along, even outside here, we can meet and discuss more and see how you can move from one step to the other, particularly when it comes to publishing. Eventually, when
yes.
Yes.
Yeah, because publishing is quite tasking.
It's crazy. Yeah, and then people give up because it's quite expensive, particularly when you want to do it yourself. And not only that's what we call self-publishing, and not even about the money. After you print the books, you have 500 copies there. Marketing is another issue. But anyway,
marketing is another issue. Yes.
Story of another day.
Yeah.
We are almost at the end of the interview, and we have learned about you, and we know you are a creative writer. You're on Facebook. You're also doing HR, and you launched your own company. Again, as we end up very briefly, I know some people watching this may even be thinking of starting their own company. How would you tell them? I mean, like, market yourself, say I'm here and what you do. And obviously your detail will be found in at the bottom in the description space below, but you can talk to them about what you can offer apart from just writing.
Okay, so for HR, it's basically creating policies and procedures for company. Also doing recruitment. So most of my areas is creating policies, procedures for organizations, employee handbook for organizations, and also recruitment. Although I might say that my greatest area is in policies. Recruitment, I'm not very well established yet, but that is where we are headed.
Beautiful.
So yes, they can always talk to me on Facebook or my email. I believe we are going to put it somewhere.
All right. So as we finish now, Wanjiru, there is this other piece we promised that you read for us as we wind up so that people can sample your humor. Go ahead.
Okay, so this one was about when thieves of Nairobi decided to steal my phone, and since there is nothing much I could do, I wrote them a letter, and she goes like this.
Okay.
So, dear thieves of Nairobi, those that ride evil bikes to snatch our phones that we bought with our hard-earned money, I've greeted you. Yesterday you made away with my precious phone while I shouted Mwizi on top of my voice, your partners passed by and slapped me one of Bishop. So one of Bishop is a slap on your face. Thieves of the city. I know police will not help me, but my ancestors will do. Dear thieves of the city, let me remind you that I, Wanjiru of the Slopes, come from the Anjiro clan of the Agikuyu. Anjiro are famous for their witchcraft prowess. We of this clan can look at a banana badly and it falls from its muramba or stem. Our anger is so hot, it can boil yams and it triggers that witchcraft power. As we are speaking, I have worn my divining attire, applied white ashes on my third eye spot, chin, and both sides of the cheeks. I can monitor you from here. I have sniffed tobacco like the Wanjiru I am, and I am about to cast a spell on your silly lives. I'm moving a red feather around two dolls that I have made to represent you. I am not alone. I am in the company of my ruthless ancestors who are guiding me. They say we shall curse your body. Anytime you want to eat, your mouth shall seal as if joined by super glue. Your urinating apparatus shall be disappearing every time you have an urge to pee. And anytime you see a girl and you want to eat her, the same apparatus shall change to that one of a woman. My ancestors are not happy at all. They say anytime you want to snatch upon, your hands will become shorter. Yours truly, Wanjiru of the slopes.
Wow, wow. Wanjiru on Facebook. That's quite a piece. I hadn't read.
That's I wrote to them.
Yeah, I hadn't read a bit all of it. I just picked it and I thought you should read for us. But it's quite interesting. So viewers, you have heard what she's made of. Go to Facebook and look for Wanjiru Muthee and follow her, because you can never be friends now. She has more than 5 friends, which is maximum for Facebook, but you can follow her. So the last word before you go, before you close off.
Okay, last word is believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. Believe in yourself, and go inward to find that which you can do it.
Yeah.
And just believe in yourself. Do not be like me, who had to waste a number of years trying to fight the imposter syndrome.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's great.
Yes.
That's great. So thank you very much, Wanjiru. It's been a pleasure at Bliss Oasis, and we'll keep.
Thank you so much.
Yes, we'll keep on following you and your stories, and being somebody who has an interest in fiction and writing and literature. I'll be able to, I'm ready to assist you when your book or when you're putting together your material. Tutafanya hiyo kazi, because maybe hapo chini nataka jina yangu itokee mahali, sijui. But with that or not, we are here to help each other. So thank you very much. Until we meet.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, sawa. Until we meet in the other streets, all the best.
Thank you so much.
Okay, kwaheri sana.